My name is Vera. I'm a mom to three. I have 3 kids, 2 boys and a girl. I have an older son who is 3 years old, and the twins who are 7 months currently. So before I got pregnant, or before I started having children, it was like, okay, pregnancy, only 9 months, and then you take it from there. But what I didn't know was that that 9-month period was not going to be just any 9-month normal period of your life, because several things happen during the 9 months. There are several things that you should know, and for me, I felt like, oh, it's just going to be a normal 9 months and then you have the child there. So imagine my shock and my surprise when all the surprises started trooping in during the pregnancy period. I was like, okay. Surprises like all this backache that pregnancy comes with, the nausea, one moment you love your husband so much, the next moment he sprays his perfume and you are disgusted by you're like, what did you just spray on yourself? Like, come on. You know, the food aversions, something that you used to like before, and now when you see it, and then the other complications, the other more serious medical complications that come with pregnancy. It's like nobody prepares you for these things. You're like, nothing and nobody prepares you for it until you encounter it. Possibly. Maybe they don't want to scare you, because Charlie, if you know when you are privy to some of the things that go on in pregnancy, if you knew those things before you get pregnant, you might be skeptical. Because like me right now, as I'm sitting here, I don't want anything to do with pregnancy again. I'm done. I'm done. Like, I don't know, maybe if I knew some of the things, like right now that I know some of the things that can happen, I am not enthusiastic about, getting pregnant. Like, right now I'm like, no, I'm done.
Maybe easy. Yeah, so easy.
Do you have a wife?
I have. Has
she been pregnant before?
3 times.
3 times. Were you heavily invested in the pregnancy? Charlie, when I was carrying my twin pregnancy, there was a day I couldn't sleep. I was like, no position was comfortable for me, because you are supposed to lie on your left side. I'm lying on my left side and the babies are poking me here and there. And so I turn here, I turn. Before I knew I was on the ground, I had fallen off the bed. Charlie, it's that bad. So, funny thing is, these pregnancy test strips, they never work for me. So I could take a pregnancy test at home today on the pregnancy test strip and it will read negative. And then I'll go to the lab and go and do a test and then it will be positive. So I wasn't really into using these pregnancy tests like from way before. So my first child, my menses had delayed for about a week. So I was in the office one day and I remembered, I was like, hey, my menses should have come, well, it hasn't come. And there's a clinic just down the road in the office. So I said, okay, let me go there. So I walked there and then I said, oh, I want to take a pregnancy test. They said, okay, so they drew the blood, did the test for me. And then they gave the results to me in an envelope. It was clipped. And I was sitting in the lobby of the hospital. Should I open it? Should I wait and get home? Should I open it? So I decided to wait and get home and open it. So I went back to the office, packed my bag, and then I was driving home. And then I said, nah, I can't wait to get home. So I just picked the strip, opened it, was fun. I'm like, ah! I was excited. It was nice. With the second one, I was late for a day or two, but I was supposed to be taking some medication. And with the second one, I had been actively trying for months, so it was a ritual. Every month, I will test even before the period is supposed to come, and then if the period delays a day or two, then I'll check. But usually I'll check, it will be negative, and then a day or two later it will come. So I was supposed to take some medication for an infection that I had, but because I knew I was actively trying, I wanted to check if I was pregnant before. So I went back to these my pregnancy test strips that I don't trust, and I peed on one, I put it on the WC, and then I went to shower. When I came out of the shower and I saw the test, there were 2 lines. And you know, on the pregnancy test strip, there's a control line and there's a test line. Usually, so if it's negative, the control line will be there and then the test line will not be there. And usually, when you test and it's even pregnant, the control line would be a deeper red than the test line. This time when I went, my test line was a deep red than the control line. And I was like, hey, this is pregnant, you know. So I was happy about it. I went to show it to my husband, and then we're all jumping. And I was like, because I'd been giving him pressure, you know, because we were trying. So eventually when I tested, you know, it was positive, we were happy and all that. So that's how I found out about the pregnancies. You want to finish it so that you can get back to work, because because when you get pregnant, whether you like it or not, it'll be slow, you know. So career-wise, sometimes a man may be power. So when you just want to, let's get it over and done with. So when you're actively trying, Charlie, this second one, we actively tried for like 8 months. I'm telling you, for like 8 months. Like when we tried, the 5th month or so, I got pregnant and I lost it. And then we kept trying, and then so it's like, and when you're trying, you are always, it's some way, Charlie, because you'll be giving your husband pressure. Today is ovulation, oh. Today is, you know, hey, today is ovulation, oh. Make sure you get home early, oh. Today, you know, sometimes in the morning I'm like, today, but today is ovulation, oh. Let's do it this morning. So it's like, it's pressure. So you know, when I had the twins, and then sometimes you'd be like, I'll be there, and then he'll come around, and then he wants to get intimate. I'm like, Charlie, my bread. When you wanted the kids there, now they tata me. You know, so I mean, it gets there. The pressure is not a good thing. It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing, but Charlie, anything. I did enjoy the anxiety bit. You see, all my pregnancies were unfortunately anxiety filled. And so you know how people enjoy their pregnancies and they wear nice dresses and they do baby shower and they do pregnancy shoots and all those things. All my pregnancies have been anxiety filled. So throughout the whole pregnancy, I'm just counting the days to the end of the pregnancy. Like, I'm counting the days to when I'll have this child is healthy, you know. So I did enjoy the anxiety that comes with it. Of course, I did enjoy the back pains, the throwing up, the tired, like constant exhaustion. Those things were not funny. I enjoyed the attention. I enjoyed the pampering. Like, you know, my husband will pamper me. And well, for me, I didn't even have any of those crazy pregnancy cravings. Like, I want to eat this, I want to eat that. No, I didn't have that. And so anytime I said, oh, and then he's, you know, he's motivated to, because I don't usually ask for anything, but I enjoy the attention. You know, because sometimes I'll be at work and then somebody will come and say, hey, I said, what bro? Unko pay baby in that. And then sometimes my boss will say, oh, you don't look good today, you know, so you can take the rest of the day off. I mean, I enjoy those things. When you go to a place and there's a queue, they just bump you up. Like when I was pregnant, I went to do the NIA registration. Immediately, there was a long queue. There were so many people. When I got there, the gentleman in charge of the thing just called me and said, oh, come. You know, they bump you up. Everybody wants to do everything for you. Like, there's so much attention. There's so much love. around it. I enjoyed that. So with my first son, it was a scheduled C-section. So I checked into the hospital. Okay, so the reason why I had a C-section, I have a condition called incompetent cervix. So what that does is that your cervix is supposed to be closed throughout the pregnancy until when it's nearing labor, then it starts opening. But in my case, the cervix starts opening prematurely at any point in time. And so usually they do a preventive surgery. They put in a cervical cerclage, which keeps your cervix closed. And so when the doctor removed it, he was expecting the cervix to be dilating at a certain, but it wasn't. And he told me that if we should schedule a C-section so that we don't have to deal with unprogressive labor and its complications. So I checked into the hospital the night before. The nurses came around, prepped me. Have you shaved? Have you done this? And so they checked everything. And in the morning by 7:15, we were out. With the twins, we had scheduled a C-section again for 37 weeks. And I was in my 35 weeks, 5 days or so. So that day I felt unusually tired and I slept the whole day. So around 3, I woke up and then I went to eat kenke. When I was pregnant, I liked kenke. Like I could eat kenke breakfast, lunch, supper. Kenke pepper fish, breakfast, lunch, supper. And I'll be okay. So when I woke up, I was like, I wanted to eat kenke. And I had bought kenke in the morning, but when I got home, I was too tired to eat it. So I woke up around 3 o'clock, ate the kenke, and I had to go and pick my son from school at 3:30. His school is just close by the house, so maybe like a 10-20 minutes drive. So after eating the kenke, it was 3:30. I said, oh, I have to go and pick my son. So I got up from the dining table, walking into the bedroom to go and change, and then I felt a gush of water. So I rushed to the washroom. I went to check. When I went to check, it was plain, somehow thick, slimy water. I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. But there was nobody to pick my child. So I quickly put on my dress, went to school, picked up the boy, brought him home, went into the shower, took a shower, put my bag in the back of my car and drove off to the hospital. So on the way to the hospital, I called my doctor. I was like, okay, this is what has happened. I felt a gush of water, and he asked me, is the water still flowing? I'm like, as I'm driving right now, I don't feel it. He said, okay, rush to the hospital. So I went to the hospital, and truth be told, I was ready, but I wasn't ready. Like, I was over the pregnancy. It was a twin pregnancy. It was heavy. I was usually tired and everything. So, like, I wanted these kids to just, come out. But I was also not ready. Delivery is an emotional roller coaster sort of thing. So I was also not ready. So whilst I was driving to the hospital, in my mind, I was like, okay, they'll probably manage me for me to reach the 37 before they do the CS, because sometimes they can do that. So I was going with the hope that they'll manage the situation till I'm 37 weeks before they will do the surgery. So when I got there, they checked me in and everything, and then they put this machine on my belly. In fact, I told the lady, well, what happened actually was that 1 week before the water broke, I was having these very tight contractions. They weren't painful, but they were very tight, and I thought they were Braxton Hicks. Apparently, that whole time, it was the onset of labor, but I didn't know. So when I went, I told the doctor there that, oh, I've been having these contractions, but I think it's Braxton Hicks. So he said that when one is coming, tell me and let me check. So whilst I was sitting there with him and he was taking my details, one came and I told him, and he pressed my belly. My belly was stone hard. He was like, this is not Braxton Hicks. This is labor contractions. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh, this thing, I've been having it for like 2 or 3 weeks now. I always feel it. It can't be labor. He said, okay. So he put me down, and then he puts this thing, belt something on my belly to check the contractions. And when he checked it for 30 minutes, when the thing came, he showed me the figures. He was like, this level of contraction is not Braxton Hicks, it is labor contraction, so we have to do the surgery. And then I got scared. I started panicking. Like, I started sweating. I wasn't ready, you know. I was like, oh no, okay, so can we wait for my doctor? My doctor himself wasn't there when I got there that afternoon. He had traveled, so this was a new doctor, and I said, oh, can we wait for my doctor? He said when I get here I should call him. I was doing everything possible to delay this thing, but the doctor told me that, look, your water has broken, it's a multiple gestation, you've been having these contractions for more than a week. The longer we take, you might be putting your children at risk. So, you know, I started crying. He said, oh, don't worry, you'll be fine and everything. So they prepped me, took me into surgery, and, you know, they brought out the kids for me. The first one, oh my God, I can't describe it. You know, this was the first pregnancy that I had carried to term, and the one just before had ended tragically. So I was looking forward to meeting this child. Like, I mean, when they delivered the baby and then they raised him and they showed him to me, I was like, oh, look at you. And then I just started crying. Like, oh, the emotions just washed over me. I just started, like, I was in awe of the baby. Like, I mean, the kid came out and he was screaming, you know, he was big, I don't know what to say. Like, it was joy that I had never felt in my life. It's unexplainable. Seriously, I can't describe it. I can't describe it. With the second one, like I said, the twins, I was a bit unprepared and a bit scared and everything. So, you know, I was scared. So when they delivered the first twin, they brought her, they said, this is twin A. I looked at it, they were very tiny, you know, as compared to my first child. And I realized they were not crying. So I was like, why is she not crying? Why is she not crying? And then they said, oh, I should relax. They are working on her. And so whilst they were working on her, they delivered the second twin and showed him to me. He was also very tiny. He was also not crying. So now I was worried. Why are they not crying? Why are they not crying? And then in like a minute or two, I heard them screaming all over the place, and then I relaxed. But the second time round, the feeling was not like the first time. It was, you know, I was expectant, I was ready, and so it was joy, joy, joy. But the second one, I was scared, I was not ready, I was anxious and everything. So it was like when I heard them crying, I just relaxed, like, okay, they are fine. But it didn't come with that many emotions like the first one did. With my first son, we were discharged 3 days after he was delivered. When I went home, my mom was with me, so she helped and everything, and so it was okay. With the twins, we stayed in NICU for some days because they were a bit tiny, they were premature and all that. So the whole NICU journey was draining, it was exhausting, it was scary. Charlie, I saw my babies and I thought my babies were tiny, only for me to go into the NICU to go and visit them, and I realized that, look, even mine were big, they were tinier babies. And it made me stressed. Like, it just stressed me, because when I go, all these tiny babies are around my babies and I'm looking, like, I was just stressed, you know. But after some days and all the issues that came in, we finally went home. My mom was with me again this time, and so, but it was nothing like the first time, Charlie. With the twins, it's mind-blowing. It's double the work, and I don't know what to say. It's double the work, and Charlie, there's no break. There's no break, but we are enjoying it. Immunization with my eldest son, we did everything, and we went for weighing religiously. And you know, the first time was, I think, the 6 weeks jab. When we went, I couldn't stand there. I couldn't. I went with my husband, and the nurse said I had to hold them for them to. So I was holding him when they did the first one, and the way the boy screamed, my heart couldn't take it. So when they were giving him the second one, his father had to come and hold him, and I was just standing there. And afterwards, you know, we gave them the paracetamol, and when we went home, we dealt with a lot of temperature. He was running a temperature consistently for like 2 days or so. Charlie, it was hectic, but you know, if you don't do it it comes with its own issues. So we just had to soldier through. Hey! Circumcision. So with my first boy, we didn't do the ring. We did the old traditional method, but we did it in the hospital. So when we got there, the midwife prepped the place, put the child there, and she said, oh, I should, if I can't stand there, I should go out. I said, no, I want to see, I want to see. So I was standing there when she started, and Charlie, the thing is, she's holding the scissors and cutting, and blood was oozing, and the boy was screaming, and I just ran out of the room. Charlie. I couldn't hold it. So the first time it was scary. There was blood everywhere. The boy was screaming, and when we went home for like a week or so before, when he pees in his diaper, you know, urine is a bit salty. So when he pees, and he would scream his head off for like 3 days. We weren't sleeping because of this circumcision thing. So the second time, I said, okay, I think the first one that we did, it was so let's try the ring method. And that one is also not any different. I mean, for that one, I didn't even bother myself being there. I just went to stand outside because I knew I would not be able to take it, because he was even tinier than the first one, you know, so I just didn't want to. So I just stood outside, but circumcision is not easy, but we have to do it for them, otherwise. Oh, nya girl. Massive adjustments. Massive, like with the boy, with my oldest son, it was 1, so yeah, we managed it. With the twins, our room set up, everything changed. And initially, when I was bringing them from the hospital, the midwives advised me to put them on a schedule so that they wake up at the same time, they sleep at the same time, so that I can also get some sleep. I tried everything. These people, one will sleep, the other will not sleep. And by the time the one who was not sleeping will sleep, this one is up. So I have had to make adjustments with my sleep patterns. I am somebody who loves to sleep. Like, if you ask me, I'm one of those people, okay, so what's your hobby? Sleeping. And I had a child, and I haven't slept since then. I haven't slept since then. I mean, after I had my first child, I don't think I have had 3 hours. 3 is even too much. I don't think I've had more than 2 hours uninterrupted sleep. Because when my first son was a baby, you know, there's the baby thing. Because I exclusively breastfeed for the first 6 months, they are breastfeeding throughout the night, and boys can eat. Boys can eat, Charlie. Boys can eat. So throughout the night, we are breastfeeding, and so you hardly get any sleep. And it became a part and parcel of me. So even when he grew up and he could sleep for long hours, and so I could see, I just couldn't sleep. Every 2 hours or so, many better, and then I'll take the opportunity to check on him. Is he well covered? Is he sleeping well? Is he breathing well? And then all those things. So like, it became a part and parcel of me. And then the twins came, and then Bibiaji in Sem. the twins came and then and because I tried to put them on a schedule, but the schedule that it doesn't work. So my boy likes to sleep early, and my girl is a late sleeper. So the boy would sleep by 8:30 latest, and then we are managing with the girl till sometimes 11 or 12. So I've made adjustments with sleep. What other adjustment have I made? Charlie, the adjustments, they're plenty. Now I don't have the luxury of attending programs on the weekend. So before pre-kids, every weekend there's a party or there's a wedding or there's an engagement or something, but I can't make those things now. I hardly honor my invitations these days because, you know, by the time I'll finish packing everybody for us to leave the house, I'm sure the program will be over. So it's a lot of adjustments. I'm surprised that I am functioning with practically no sleep. You know, it surprises me every day because it's like round the clock. I'm up round the clock. Maybe I'll get 1 hour uninterrupted, 2 hours uninterrupted, but I'm still running around and doing everything the way, because with pre-kids, if I don't get my 7 to 8 hours of sleep, I'm cranky the whole day. But now, even with 1 hour, less than 1 hour, I'm okay. I function, I go about, and I didn't know I was a scientist, Charlie. Now, when my kids came, you know, I mean, there was a time that I had to deal with constipation with one of the babies. The poop wasn't coming, you know. So once the poop came, I had to, you know, examine the poop and see, is it very hard? Did the child suffer to pass out the poop, you know? Like, Charlie, the things that you can do, yeah, it surprises me. Like, I'm going around poop like it's nothing. You know, and what else? Honestly, I've surprised myself because with the corona, when the whole corona issue started, my mother had just left my house, and the lockdown came, so she was stuck, and I was stuck with 3 kids on my own, twin babies, a toddler who is stuck at home not going to school, and sometimes at the end of the day, when everybody is lying in bed, I sit down and I'm like, how did I go through this day? You know, just me, 2 babies, feeding, changing, putting them to sleep, managing the toddler, homeschooling, everything. I'm like, I asked myself several times, where do I even get the strength to do these things, considering the fact that I don't even get to sleep? You know, so it's surprising, but I believe that once the children come in, you will get the strength. You know, that's what somebody said, that you don't know how much strength you have until being strong is the only option that you have, you know. So this poop matter, when the poop was not coming, I went to Dr. Google and I was Googling, what should I do? Google said, what? I should give him prune and some prune juice, and this thing, he was like 3 months or so. And so I was like, no, I can't give him prune juice because, you know, and I wasn't giving them water also because I was breastfeeding exclusively. And this child will not be able to sleep. He would be stretching. And then there was one article that I read, they said, oh, I should dip the edge of a cotton bud into oil and then stimulate the anus a bit, and it would let the poop come. And then I was doing it and I realized that the boy was pushing, the thing wasn't coming. And I called my mom, and my mom said, oh, try nefere kakra, and I would kakra, a bit creative passage. And then I was trying to do it and I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't bring myself to, you know, and I was afraid I might push it too deep, but eventually my mom told me that menya in so share, like non so share per se, like warm water, na me fem gugu neto, and it will come. My brother, I did the thing. I did the warm water. I put the boy on me and I was dripping the thing through there. And then he just said, and then the thing just exploded everywhere. And I was sitting there and I was singing songs of praise. It's like, oh, Eradimedase, oh, Eradimedase, oh, Eradimedase. You know, that night, the way he slept. Oh, God, it's funny. That night he slept so well, you know, after the whole book. So these days, when I realize that somebody is struggling to poop, I just go and do warm water, and then we do the warm water therapy, and then everything will come. You know, there was one time I was doing it for my boy. My husband was standing there looking at it. He was like, "Ay, Adi, they say now you bed the pow. Remember name Biana." I was like, if you want to come, yeah, I'll do it for you. And you know, even my my younger son, that's for him, everything you are doing for the babies, he wants you to do something. So he also come and stand there and he will say, you do. And when I put him and I'm doing it for him, then he will start laughing because it tickles him. Oh my God, most times, I don't know exactly what I'm doing. I know I have an idea what I'm doing, but it's try, okay. And my twins especially, they are as different as two different people can be. What works for twin A doesn't work for twin B. Because, so, you know, most times, okay, the last time, from the initial stages, I'll say, okay, the last time I did this for this one and it worked, let me try it on this one. It will not work, I'll try something else will work. So as time goes on, from trying, I know what works for this person, and stuff like that. So I don't entirely know what I'm doing. I just try. I consult my mother most times, and then I read a lot also. I read a lot of articles on these things. So as time goes by, I realize that, okay, this works for him, but doesn't work for her. This works for her, doesn't work for him. And we take it from there. Breastfeeding 2 boys. So I did exclusive, 6 months exclusive for my son. And I was encouraged to do same for the twins. So I did. Although with the twins, by the time they were 5 months, I had to add formula because now the breast milk was not. So with the twins, with both of my kids, breast milk doesn't come in immediately after delivery. It takes like 2 or 3 days. With the boy, it took 3 days, and so the first day they didn't let him eat, but by the second day he was screaming, so we had to give him formula. And so by the 3rd day the milk had started coming. So once the milk started coming, I ditched the formula and we did exclusive breastfeeding. And then with the twins also, I did exclusive breastfeeding up till the 4th month, the 5th month, or 4th or 5th month, and then I started introducing formula. You know, now with the twins, when they were in NICU, the nurses were hounding me, you have to get breast milk for them. You know, they are tiny, they don't have to eat formula, breast milk is best, what, okay. I said, okay. So I was in the ward and I brought my breast pump and I used to pump. I would pump for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, nothing has come. So I'll pump here up. I kept pumping and pumping, and they told me, okay, the mashed kenke, I will eat it. A brownie katia, I will eat it. Everything they told me will give me granite, will give me breast milk. When I was in the hospital, I was taking all of that. So eventually, on the 3rd day or so, when I woke up, I realized that my breasts were engorged. And then I took my breast pump and I started pumping. I pumped. By 45 minutes, I had 120 ml. I was so happy, you know. So I moved from my ward and I took it to the NICU. I said that, oh, I've gotten breast milk for my babies. Only for the NICU nurse to tell me that they will not accept the breast milk. I'm talking liquid gold, the colostrum, the first thing. She said they won't take it. I'm like, why? And then she said, oh, the protocol in NICU is that breast milk that will be fed to babies in NICU have to be pumped in the NICU. I said, nobody told me, because I'm in the ward just down the aisle. So if I have to come and pump here, why would I pump it in my room if I know And so she didn't want to accept the breast milk because I pumped it because it was going against protocol. And these are my twin babies who were starving. And I said, no, you have to take this breast milk. She said she won't take. The doctor on duty there at the time was checking on some kids. So when he finished and he came, and then he said, oh, what's all the commotion about? And I explained everything to him, that I woke up with my breast engorged and I've been able to pump 120, and this nurse says she won't take it because it's against protocol. And then the doctor proceeded to explain to me that, well, that's the protocol they can. And I told him that I am not discarding this milk. Some way or another, you people have to accept this because, hey, pumping is not easy. Pumping is not easy. So eventually I was able to convince them, and once they knew I was in the ward just down the aisle, they said okay, so they accepted it, and then they used it. And at that time they were eating 10 ml per feed, and so I was like, oh, this 120 they better last year for like at least a day. The day I brought the breast milk, the kids started eating 15 ml. And I had to go back to pumping, and you know, and breastfeeding them, and then they start teething. Charlie, they will bite you here and there every day. Now, but there was a time my breast got sore, and I called the doctor, and the doctor said, well, it's sore, but you still have to feed them with it because that's the only way the sore is going to heal. So imagine having a sore nipple and feeding 2 babies, Charlie. It's not easy, but it's worth it. So. Introducing solids. With my first child, when I was introducing solids, I did strictly cereal. So cocoa, Tom Brown, oats, aye puree, like everything pureed. And then I was doing fruits, but he didn't like the fruits. When I do fruit puree and I give him, he will reject it. So we did mostly the cereals. Before, when he grew up a bit, he started taking the fruits and other things. But with the twins, I started with cereal, and then I started pureeing normal grown-up food. So I'll do poto and then puree it for them. I'll do rice and maybe carrots and chicken or something and puree it for them. And they, luckily for me, they eat. So it's not been that hectic. And then I do the fruits for them every day. But some of them, you realize that sometimes I realize that, oh, this twin A doesn't like this particular, like they won't take something like fish powder. If you use fish powder for them, they will not eat stuff. I'm like, you kids are bougie. You know, they have bougie taste. You use fish powder for them, they won't eat it. They want you to give them chicken, and they like egg yolks and all those things, but they eat, it's fine. The most challenging thing about raising them up is not knowing if I'm doing it right. You know, not knowing if I'm doing it right. And then sometimes how long it takes for your child to pick something you are teaching them up. This is in relation to my oldest son. You know, when he wakes up in the morning, I remember when he was about a year old and he could repeat things after you. When he wakes up in the morning, I'll say, good morning. I said, good morning, good morning, good morning. This boy will never say the good morning some, you know. So sometimes when you are teaching them something, it takes a while, and then you start doubting, are you teaching him, are you doing it the right way, are you employing the right tactics? Okay, this thing that he did, does he need to be beaten up? You know, you are always weighing the options in your head, so that because there's a thin line between doing it right and not doing it right, you know, doing it completely wrongly. So it's very challenging knowing if I'm doing it right or what to do, because sometimes you'd seek counsel from an older person, so maybe my mom or my mother-in-law, and then they'll tell you, oh, yeah, say, and then you are sitting back and you're like, the way that this woman is saying I should do it, yeah, I think it's a cake, you know. But sometimes you do it your way, it's not working, then you say, okay, let me try this archaic way. You do it and then it works. So it's challenging knowing whether you are doing it right or not. But when you hear the baby crying, and then you enter the room, you're going to pick the baby from the cot, and then the baby sees you, and then they are all excited and throwing their hands and their feet like they've seen God. And you're like, oh my God, look at that. Like you are practically God to this baby. You know, this child sees you and they think that, oh, if I see this woman, be okay. You know, it's rewarding, like it's fulfilling, it's I don't know, it's something else, like, you know, seeing that and knowing that this child depends on you, knowing that when the child sees you and the way they will smile, the way they will laugh, you know, they see you, they are crying, they see you and then they stop crying, and when I used to go to work, when I come back from home, when I come back I come home from work, and then my son, and then he runs and he comes and he's all over you, and you're like, I'm doing something right. Like, these guys love you unconditionally. They would misbehave, he would misbehave, I would give him a spanking or something, and then once I finish spanking him, he will come back to me, and then he will look at me, mommy, mommy, and then it's okay, don't cry. Then rub his back a bit, and then he stops crying. You know, it's fulfilling. Let me say, it's fulfilling that God found me worthy to give these precious gifts to, and I think I'm killing it. I think I'm killing it. I think that once you are a woman and you've reached childbearing age, or no, let me put it this way, once you prepare yourself to have children, or even if you don't prepare yourself, but you find yourself, you are pregnant and you are keeping the baby, I think that we should all read around pregnancy. There's a whole lot of things about pregnancy that nobody tells you, okay? And even if you decide to read, you will not be able to read everything. There are certain things that will just not come into the scope of where or what you're reading from, because pregnancy comes with a lot of things, and being knowledgeable about these things potentially prevents some bad things, or let me say some bad things that could potentially happen. Okay, so for instance, they will tell you that, oh, when your feet are swelling, they will tell you, you know, the old people will tell you, when you're pregnant, the old people will tell you that, oh, swollen feet is part of pregnancy, but it's a sign of preeclampsia, which is a fatal condition, you know. So it's not everything that when you see something, these days, some of our doctors are very receptive. So for me, when you see something which you are not comfortable with, or anything at all, check with your doctor, read about it, you know, just read about it. It helps a lot. It really helps a lot, because there are several things out there about pregnancy that nobody tells you. Nobody tells you. The back story for me is that before I got pregnant and started having kids, it was like the picture had been painted. When you're 9 months, you take it from there. But the whole pregnancy journey is a whole different thing. So I, for instance, what I knew was, oh, 9 months, it's a clock thing. But when I carried my first pregnancy, I carried it to like 23 or so weeks. And one morning, I woke up and there was bloody mucus in my panty. I was like, what is this? And so I told my husband, and he was like, okay, so I don't know, since you are not comfortable with it, just go to the hospital. In the morning, he also had an appointment, so I just had to, only for me to get to the hospital, my cervix is dilated, the baby is coming. Like, I was practically in labor and I wasn't feeling any pain or anything. And so, unfortunately, the pregnancy ended tragically. Like, I mean, I got to the hospital, I delivered the baby. The baby, you know, when I got to the hospital and I explained to them, they realized that was my mucus plug, or mucosa scan, my cervix was dilated, the placenta had detached from the uterus, the baby had died, and it was like the labor too was not even progressing, so they had to induce me. So it was like, I was like, really? So this thing is not over than 9 months, no, but I didn't know that, and I think that a lot of people before they get pregnant have the impression that I had, 9 months, but there are several things along the way that people have to pay attention to, you know, because in my case, looking back, I realized that there were several things if I was paying attention to, I would have probably known that I had some sort of conditions. The whole motherhood journey is amazing. Like, I mean, if I could turn back the hands of time, I would ditch all the anxiety that accompanies my pregnancy and like enjoy it and rock it. I mean, wear nice things, you know, because when I'm pregnant, I'm too tired and I'm too anxious and I'm too scared to even, you know, I'm afraid that, hey, okay, what if me kwashe high heel na me slepe? So like I'm always too careful. But in as much as it's a beautiful journey, you know, it's beautiful. And Charlie, if you get pregnant, rock it, you know, rock the pregnancy. Not pregnancy, you who say, oh, now all carry pregnancy, and your pregnancy, and they carry you. You close the Babylon gate, you know. Oh, David, share.